the most important skills when it comes to establishing a healthy lifestyle and being on a fitness journey is learning to listen to your body. Being able to take its cues and know when you need to push yourself a little bit more or to back off. How hard you need to push yourself really depends on a lot of factors, including your level of experience. I don't generally recommend that beginners really push themselves too crazy when it comes to resistance training. Instead, I think that beginners should focus on learning how to perform the movements that are a part of our resistance training program. Learn how to move first, and also learn what it feels like to work the different muscles that are the target of each exercise. When I make exercise tutorial videos, I try to make sure to tell people at the very beginning of the video what the target muscle group is that we're trying to work in whatever exercise it is. And as a beginner, it's really important that you try to focus on connecting with that muscle. So for example, if we're doing bicep curls, it's really important that you try to familiarize yourself with what it feels like to flex your biceps and to extend your biceps. So learn how to do the exercises, learn how to connect with your muscles. I generally recommend for beginners and intermediate people, think on a scale of 1 to 10, rate of perceived exertion, or RPE, scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being, I'm not working hard at all, this is super easy, and 10 being, I am putting forth maximum effort and I'm about to fail. When you're performing resistance training as a beginner, I like to recommend that, especially in the first week or 2 of your new training program, just work at a level 5 or 6. And this means that you might be feeling the burn a little bit towards the end of each set in the target muscle group, but you're not going anywhere close to muscle failure. Muscle failure means that your muscles completely give up, right? So like you've completely exhausted them. As you get more familiar with these exercises and how to perform them correctly and safely, then you can start to challenge yourself to a level 7 or 8. And a level 7 or 8 RPE is when you're feeling the burn in the target muscles and you feel like maybe 2 or 3 more reps, your muscles would fail. Now, sometimes we don't know when our muscles are going to fail because we're still learning how it feels to work them. Something that I'll sometimes have my clients do is what's called an AMRAP set, as many reps as possible. And so you take whatever weight that you're using for that resistance training exercise and you do as many reps as you can, counting how many reps you can do until your muscles fail. For beginners and intermediate people, I usually have them work with a range of between 6 and 12 repetitions in each set for every exercise. If you do an AMRAP set and you are barely able to get to 6, then whatever weight that you're using or whatever variation of the exercise you're doing, it's too much. You need to back off a little bit, reduce the weight, or do an easier variation of that exercise. Now, if you are able to go well past 12, up to 15 or even 20 reps, then you definitely need to use more weight or do a harder variation of that exercise. What you want to aim for is using an amount of resistance or a variation of the exercise where you feel challenged and you feel the burn setting in your muscles around rep 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you're able to get to 12, you should feel like in an AMRAP set, like you couldn't go past that. That's how you know you're working with a good weight. Now, over time, you're going to be able to do more repetitions with that same weight because your body is going to get stronger. So you'll want to add on more repetitions every time that you go to the gym and you do the same exercise with that weight. Eventually, you'll reach a point where you can easily get to 12, and at that point, then you want to increase the amount of weight that you're using or try a more difficult variation of the exercise. You always want to be giving yourself a little bit of challenge. You know, an RPE 7 or 8 is like perfect. That's exactly where I like to have my clients do their work. That's a good challenge rate of perceived exertion without as much risk of injury. Now, really advanced people who've been working out for a really long time, who've maybe slowed down in their gains, no longer getting those newbie gains like you tend to get in the first year or 2 of your training. That's where you can begin to incorporate more sets where you deliberately go to muscle failure or approach muscle failure. But it's not something that you do in every single set and every single workout. Remember that it's going to take your body a lot more to recover from going to failure or getting really close to failure than it would if you left a few more reps in the tank. The more often that you lift to failure, the more often that you approach muscle failure, and the more intense your workouts are, the more likely it is that you'll need longer rest periods in between your sets or more rest days in between your workouts. It takes a lot for our bodies to recover from going to muscle failure. And the studies are really showing that the difference in gains between leaving a few reps in the tank versus going all the way to muscle failure is like really a small amount. You do get additional gains from going to muscle failure, but the amount that you get, I just don't think that it's a good return on the investment, especially considering what the risk is. Going to muscle failure too often puts you at a high risk of injury, either by, your form breaking down and something going wrong with the lift, or by just injuring the muscle or ligaments. So personally, for me, I don't really recommend going to failure unless you are testing, like doing an AMRAP set to figure out what weight you should be using, or if you're testing your maxes to see how much weight you can lift in 1, 2, or 3 repetitions. So yeah, those are just my thoughts when it comes to training to failure and moderating your intensity depending on the goal of your training program as well as your level of experience. Now keep in mind that every program is going to be a little bit different. There are certainly going to be times where training to failure is part of the program. But for me and the way that I train my clients, as a coach who's focused more on wellness and fat loss for the most part, it's just not necessary for my clients. And even in my own body, I've noticed that I have more gains from submaximal effort where I leave a few reps in the tank most of the time. I get a lot more gains out of that in terms of strength and muscle growth than when I am pushing to failure or pushing really close to failure a lot of the time. I'm really interested to know what your experience has been in moderating the intensity of your own resistance training journey. Do you often push to muscle failure? Let me know in the comments below what your level of experience is and how you have moderated the intensity of your training. And if you found something helpful in this video, please let me know. And if you have any questions to follow up with, let me know in the comments below as well. Make sure to like this video if you found it helpful and share it with a friend if you think that they can find it helpful. Also, subscribe to the channel. That way you get notified whenever I have a new video coming out. I've got a lot of goodies coming out for you guys soon as I've revamped my whole style and template of creating these videos for you guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.